We just want to know what happened and why our baby didn't come home.
Nolan was always taught to stay with the group. If you leave with me, you come back with me. So that I don't understand. And with me being a parent, if I was in that situation, I would have told him, you're going to get back on this boat with me because I don't want to have to answer to your parents if something happened to you.
Right.
So you're going to get on the boat. And if you still don't want to get on the boat, someone give me a phone so I can make a phone call to get your parents on the phone so they can tell you to get on the boat. But at no time will I leave someone else's child especially on the island.
So you think he got left behind then?
Yes. I don't believe he decided to stay on the island by himself. It just doesn't, that's not his character.
Attorney Crump, you have a lot of questions about what happened, ranging from the fact that the police very quickly declared that they didn't see any evidence of foul play, but then said that they were now investigating, to the timeline, the idea of where the phone could potentially be. Help me understand.
Vlad, there are so many glaring contradictions, and that's why so many people all across America are chiming in saying this is not adding up. I mean, you have them saying he was talking to a young lady, and she said that he said, I'm going to get back on the boat with the boys. Well, the boys say he said that, no, I'm going to stay with her. I mean, which is it? And then on top of that, you talk about this video that's out there that shows this apparent argument going on where Nolan says, where's my freaking phone? What are you freaking doing? And then his phone turns up missing. I don't know any 18-year-old, if you go with their story that he said he was going to stay behind, I'm going to leave my cell phone behind. It's not adding up. And so those are the things that his mother and father are saying, we're not accepting this. He was a college athlete. He was in superb shape. And so he's a good swimmer. And you see the video of all those people out there. If he's drowning, nobody's going to help.
But the video that you're talking, sorry, now, the video that you're talking, go ahead.
I was going to say, you reposted that video. Yeah. Now, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, they are calling for people to send in any videos or anything that they may have seen. What are they communicating with you about the investigation and what they are getting from people?
They haven't communicated much at this point. In fact, his mother, as she said, they had to track down the cell phone, and she can talk about the deleted messages that are very concerning to her because it's relevant. All of it is relevant to finding out how Nolan Wells ended up dead.
Oh, yes. And Christine, going back to that cell phone, you said you were able to recover it.
Yes.
So you saw clear signs that there were deleted conversations?
There were definitely concerns just because Nolan is always on Snapchat. He will be like, hey, mom, smile, you know, put a peace sign. So when me and my sister went through it, there was nothing.
There were
no saved videos. There was nothing in there. She went to the secondary account. There was nothing in there. And I know, you know, when kids get together for events like that, you know, they're snapping. They're making videos, taking pictures. And so I'm just like, where is it? Because it hadn't even been 24 hours when we started looking, which usually with Snapchat, it goes away once you hit that 24-hour mark.
Elmore, can you, for all of us who are so concerned about what happened here, just tell us a little bit more about your son? Who was he? What kind of man was he growing up to be?
He was very respected by the community. He was very respected by a lot of people. There wasn't a friend that he couldn't make. People gravitated to Nolan. That was just the type of person he was. He was I would say a silent leader when on the field and on the basketball court. People would follow his actions and not his words. I'm a person, I believe action is more important than words. You can tell me 1,000 times you love me, but show me you love me. If you are my real friends and I'm giving you this trust, you need to get it back to me by making me. Making me get on that boat. It's 3 of them, and one of me. Yeah, we may tussle, but when we get back to the mainland, Either we're going to tussle some more or we're going to go party. So, and same with the adult. If that was your child and I was the one there, you would have wanted me to make your child get back on the boat. So it was a lot of bad decisions made. I don't think my son volunteered to stay on that island. I can't believe that.
An 18-year-old goes out on a boat with 3 friends to celebrate the 4th of July. Hours later, only 3 of them come back. His mother gets the call at 11:07 that night, and the second she sees who's calling, before a word is even said, her stomach drops. Because his friends don't call her. Not directly. Not like this. By the time the sun comes back up, there's a search underway involving the Coast Guard, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, and the National Park Service. 2 days after that, a park ranger walking the shoreline of a barrier island finds a body in the water. His name was Nolan Wells. He was a college football player with a Division I tryout on the calendar. He was, by every account from the people who knew him, one of the good ones. And right now, his own parents do not believe the story they were first given about how he ended up alone on that island in the first place. This is everything we know, and everything that still doesn't add up, about the death of Nolan Wells. Before we go further, this episode discusses the death of a teenager, including details from an autopsy investigation, and touches on racial tension in the public response to this case. If that's not something you want to sit with today, this is your moment to step away. For everyone else, let's get into it. Nolan Wells was 18 years old, a rising sophomore at Southwest Mississippi Community College, where he played wide receiver. He'd graduated the year before from Ocean Springs High School, where he was a multi-sport athlete, and he was gearing up for a Division I tryout the Monday after that holiday weekend. A detail that matters, because it tells you where his head was that week. This wasn't a kid drifting. This was a kid with a plan, days away from a shot at the next level. People who knew him describe him almost the same way, over and over, regardless of who's asked. His high school coach called him a happy-go-lucky kid with a big smile that everybody adored. His college president said he was well-respected and popular among friends, faculty, and staff. His Ocean Springs head coach said he carried himself with humility, treated people with respect, and led by example rather than by talking. His father, Elmore Wansley, described him as a silent leader, someone teammates followed not because of what he said, but because of how he carried himself on the field and off it. His mother, Christine Wansley, described a son who was constantly checking in with her, sending selfies, a peace sign, a quick smile, mom text, the kind of small, ordinary contact that becomes unbearably significant once it stops. Both parents describe a specific rule they drilled into him for years. If you leave somewhere with your group, you come back with your group. No exceptions. Which is exactly why what happened on July 4th doesn't sit right with either of them. On Saturday, July 4th, Nolan and a group of friends took a boat out to Horn Island, a remote barrier island roughly 10 miles off the Mississippi Gulf Coast, reachable only by private boat, part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore. It's a popular holiday destination. Boats raft up along the shoreline, people camp on the sand, and on a day like the 4th of July, the beach is packed. According to his parents, this wasn't some reckless first-time outing. This same friend group had made this exact trip before without incident. There was no reason going in to expect anything other than an ordinary day that ended with Nolan walking back through his front door, joking around like usual. He was last seen alive around 3 p.m. that afternoon on the island's north end, according to attorney Ben Crump's office. Witnesses who spoke to search organizers said he'd been talking with a young woman on the beach. Sometime after that, his friends got back on the boat and returned to the mainland, without him. Nolan did not. His mother wasn't immediately alarmed when evening came and went without a call. She said there'd been other nights when he stayed out later than planned, hanging with friends, nothing that raised a flag. That changed at 11:07 p.m., when one of the boys from the trip called her directly. She said that on its own was enough to make her heart drop. His friends simply don't call her like that. From there, the family describes a chaotic scramble. They started cross-referencing his location through 2 different apps, Snapchat, which the group used to track each other, and Life 360, and found something that didn't line up. His phone was showing up in one place, his car in another. A family friend went to physically retrieve his phone from the boys who'd made it back. Meanwhile, Christine and Elmore started trying to get someone in law enforcement to actually take the case, and by their account, They were bounced between the Sheriff's Department, the City of Ocean Springs, and the state's Department of Marine Resources before Jackson County formally took it over. That gap, those early hours spent figuring out who even had jurisdiction rather than actively searching, is going to matter later, and we'll come back to it. The following day, a full search effort launched. The Jackson County Sheriff's Department, the U.S. Coast Guard, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, Gulf Islands National Seashore Rangers, and the volunteer search and rescue group United Cajun Navy all joined in. On Monday, July 6th, around 8:45 a.m., a National Park Service ranger found a body in the water off the island's west end. The family identified him. Investigators wouldn't confirm it publicly until the next day, when dental records matched. Nolan Xavier Wells was dead at 18. Here's where the official account and the family's account start to pull apart. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter has said publicly that, based on what investigators understand, Nolan chose to stay behind on the island rather than get back on the boat with his friends. Multiple outlets have reported that the initial word from search organizers, and from at least one friend, was that Nolan wanted to stay and talk with a girl on the beach. Nolan's parents reject that framing completely, and not casually, deliberately, repeatedly, in every interview since. Elmore Wansley has said flatly that his son wouldn't have made that choice, because it goes against how he raised him. If Nolan had wanted to stay, Elmore says, the friends should have made him get back in the boat, and if he resisted, someone should have handed him a phone right there so his own parents could tell him the same thing. In Elmore's words, at no point should three friends have left the island without making sure the fourth had what he needed. Christine has said essentially the same thing from a different angle. She doesn't believe her son decided to stay on that island alone. She said it isn't his character, that Nolan was managing football and academics and didn't have room in his life or his mindset that week for an impulsive decision like that. And there's a specific detail that's fueling the family's skepticism. Reporting has surfaced that when Christine was first told her son had stayed behind for a girl named Katie, she was also told, in that same conversation, that this same Katie was herself unaccounted for and unknown to the rest of the group. If the story hinges on a specific person, and that person is simultaneously described as missing and unidentified, that's not a small inconsistency. That's the kind of thing that makes a mother start asking harder questions. Attorney Ben Crump, who the family retained early in this process, has pointed to what he calls glaring contradictions in the timeline. He's noted that accounts of Nolan's final conversation on the beach directly conflict. One version has him telling the young woman he was heading back to rejoin his friends, while the friend's account has him saying the opposite, that he wanted to stay with her. Crump's response to that has been blunt. Somebody isn't telling the truth. There's also the matter of the phone. Christine has said Nolan's phone ended up with one of the friends who returned from the island, and that it took time and coordination through a family friend before it actually made it back into her hands. When she and her sister went through it, she said they found essentially nothing from that day. No saved photos, no saved videos, despite Nolan being, by her account, constantly active on Snapchat and always documenting whatever he was doing. She's raised the possibility that content was deleted before the phone was returned, and Crump's team has said the family believes both Snapchat content and text messages may have been removed. It's worth being careful and precise here, because this is exactly the kind of detail that gets exaggerated online. Nothing has been forensically confirmed publicly at this point. What we have is a mother's account of what she found, or didn't find, on a device, and a legal team that says they're pursuing forensic recovery. That's a real and serious allegation. It is not, as of this recording, a proven fact. There's also a video that's circulated widely on social media, reportedly filmed from another boat near the island's shoreline, showing a group on the beach in what looks like an argument. Crump has referenced audio from that video in different interviews with varying degrees of certainty. In one, he said he could hear what he believed was Nolan's voice. In another, he described it more cautiously, as an argument involving some group of kids without fully committing to whose voices they were. Multiple outlets covering this case have been explicit that authorities have not confirmed the video is authentic or connected to Nolan's case at all. So we're going to be exactly that careful with it here. This is unconfirmed, and it needs to stay labeled that way until someone with actual authority verifies it. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office has publicly asked for the public's help, specifically for original, unedited photos and video taken on the northwest tip of Horn Island, particularly anything showing alleged altercations or anything involving Nolan, plus anyone who heard an argument or disturbance on the island that day. There's one more small but genuinely interesting inconsistency that's come up. A young woman who was on the island that day reportedly reached out to Christine after she posted publicly asking for information and said the official description of Nolan's clothing, black shorts, didn't match her own photos from that day, which she says show him in blue shorts. For what it's worth, official reporting from the sheriff's department has described Wells as last seen wearing blue swim trunks and sunglasses, which lines up with the mother's account rather than the black shorts version, which tells you just how much conflicting information has been floating around this case from the jump, even among people who should have the basic facts straight. Investigators have said, as of this recording, that there's no indication of drug or alcohol involvement, pending the toxicology report. The state medical examiner's office has performed an autopsy. Results, including toxicology, have not been made public. The family separately arranged an independent autopsy conducted in Washington, D.C., with support from civil rights activist and former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who helped fund that process. Filmmaker Tyler Perry has offered to cover funeral expenses. Reverend Al Sharpton has appeared publicly alongside the family and Crump. Sheriff Ledbetter has said publicly that his department has not found evidence of a crime, but has also acknowledged that people want answers faster than a real investigation can move, and that getting it right takes time. Crump, for his part, has raised the question of whether the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation should take the case over from the local sheriff's office entirely. We have to talk about this part directly, because it's become inseparable from the case itself. Nolan is black. Most of the friend group he was with that day is white. That fact alone has generated an ugly wave of online commentary questioning why he was even in that friend group, alongside a separate and more serious current of skepticism, plenty of it from black commentators and civil rights organizations, about whether Mississippi authorities will handle this investigation with real transparency. Crump has explicitly invoked the killing of Emmett Till while explaining the family's decision to seek an investigation independent of the state, noting the historical weight of that comparison for a black family in Mississippi asking hard questions about how their son died. The Mississippi NAACP has echoed the family's call for a thorough investigation, pointing specifically to what it called deeply concerning contradictions in the initial accounts. Christine has addressed the racial commentary about the friend group directly and firmly. She said she and her husband never taught their children to avoid friendships based on someone's race, that Nolan's heart was big enough to be a friend to anybody, and that the outpouring of support they've received, including from Nolan's own friends, speaks to how they raised him. Her position has been consistent. This isn't about relitigating who Nolan's friends were. It's about what actually happened to him in the hours after 3 p.m. that day. Separately, one of the friends who was on the island, Warren, is the son of a sitting Jackson County judge, Ashley Cole. Judge Cole posted publicly to address what she described as rumors, saying she feared for her children's safety after their photos circulated online, and clarifying that neither she nor her husband were on the island themselves, though she confirmed her son Warren was there and has been interviewed by the sheriff's department. Reporting has also noted a moment where Elmore Wansley described going to retrieve his son's belongings and initially being told by one of the young men that he didn't know where the keys were, only for the keys to turn up minutes later after that young man made a call. A small moment, but one Elmore has said is exactly when his trust broke. We're including that because it's a documented account from the family, not because we're drawing a conclusion from it. It's one data point among several the family says adds up to a story that doesn't hold together, not proof of anything on its own. The friends who were with Nolan that day have retained their own legal counsel, and as of this recording, Crump's team has said they have not had a direct conversation with them. Sheriff Ledbetter has told reporters the friends are cooperating with the investigation. As of this recording, here's the honest state of things. Nolan Wells is confirmed dead, identified through dental records. The official autopsy has been completed, but results, including toxicology, have not been publicly released. The independent, family-arranged autopsy is separately underway. Investigators say there's currently no indication of drug or alcohol involvement, but that determination is preliminary pending the full report. The sheriff's department maintains there is no confirmed evidence of a crime, while continuing to actively investigate and request public tips, including footage of the alleged altercation. Nolan's friends have not been named as suspects and, per the sheriff, are cooperating. What we don't have, as of right now, a confirmed cause of death, confirmation of what's actually on that viral video, or whose voices are in it, forensic confirmation of deleted phone content, and a matching account from the friends themselves about what happened on that beach after 3 p.m. This is a case built almost entirely, right now, on two conflicting narratives. One from a grieving family who does not accept the official explanation, and one from an ongoing investigation that hasn't closed the door on anything, but also hasn't confirmed the darker version either. We are not going to pretend either side has this fully proven. We're going to keep flagging, clearly, what's confirmed versus what's alleged every step of the way, because that's the only responsible way to cover a case like this while it's still active. There's a version of this story that's simple. A young man made a choice, a tragic accident followed, and there's nothing more sinister underneath it. There's another version that's a lot harder to sit with, where a group of friends left an island without one of their own, and something happened in the hours after that nobody involved has fully explained yet. We don't know which one is true. Nobody watching this does either, no matter how confident anyone online sounds about it. What we do know is that an 18-year-old with a Division I tryout on his calendar, a mother who called him her special soul, and a father who spent years telling him to stay with his group, went out on the water on the 4th of July and never came home. Whatever the full truth turns out to be, he deserves an investigation that actually gets there, not speculation standing in for facts, and not a rush to close the book before the hard questions get asked. We'll be following this one as the toxicology results, the independent autopsy findings, and any forensic phone recovery come in. When there's something confirmed to report, we'll bring it to you, and we'll keep being just as careful about what we don't know yet as what we had. If this case has you as unsettled as it has us, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This one is moving fast, and we'll have the update the moment there's confirmed news on the autopsy results or the investigation. Drop your take in the comments. Do you believe the official account, or does something here feel off to you too? And if you haven't already, go back and watch our breakdown of Related Case. The parallels in how these early investigations get handled are hard to ignore. See you in the next one.